getting everything checked or started up, and then I'm gonna check the streams to make sure that the audio sounds good.
Okay. I'm just creating a new email address for a new new Microsoft account.
Getting a new Microsoft account.
Yeah, just creating an email address specifically for this one user. I'm about to do it.
You said you had contract you had to start doing through that stuff too, didn't you?
Yeah, I've my contract allows me just to well, it's a bare bone VM, so I've installed Ubuntu on that. I've had Ubuntu on this since what 2017 or something,
Yeah.
and been running Apache, a lab server, and a mail server.
So far, X and D Live is working.
Hmm.
I do know that much. I'm having to go through with Twitch and Kick now and check out the audio.
Hmm. Alias. MS Teams.
Oh, that's right.
Well,
I'm not doing untethered on YouTube.
do you want to give Microsoft my phone number? Nope.
Good,
Is the email changing?
good luck keeping it away from
Actually, no, Microsoft shouldn't have my phone number at all, actually. Unless somebody used like MS Windows and phone, which is very rare these days, and using a Microsoft account on top of that, or using Outlook maybe. But no, nobody's got my mobile phone anyway. I keep my mobile phone extremely secret, but yeah, I've got 2 extra SIP accounts. So traditional voice over IP, phone over IP
them. Okay.
accounts, which I used for public purposes.
Okay, it looks like I got everything. I guess I could do YouTube this time, but I don't know if I want to be honest with
Why not? YouTube's okay for this sort of stuff.
Well, it's heavily censored too, so I don't know for sure what it is that I'm allowed to say on there.
Have you been hit recently with a strike?
On my main account with everything we did with the mine shit, you know, like people on mines.com are just completely uncontrollable. They're,
Yeah.
they're
How long ago? When was your last strike?
um, last last February, January, somewhere around there. I only
Okay.
and it was two of them, one right after the other. It's because of
Uh,
all of the all of those rebellious minds.comers.
isn't YouTube's policy still 3 strikes within 90 days?
Yeah, but see, the only problem is you when you get a strike, they hold you. They make it to where you have that strikes for 90 days, and if you get another strike, you still get
Again, within that 90 days, yeah.
then the warning stays permanently on your freaking YouTube channel.
Okay, okay.
So now I've always got
Okay.
to my yeah, a warning's nothing but a glorified strike. So
Mm.
that's basically what it is. It's like we're going to warn you this time, but don't let it happen again.
Slap on the hand.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, This one is actually going to be a good one though, because I that's the whole
This is
thing.
your internet scam thing.
Yeah, the internet is a
Mm.
scam.
The internet, all of the internet is a scam.
It is.
Everything.
It's all a fucking scam.
Okay. I tell you what is a scam. Just found it. I think. Me changing my
So
accounts.
I didn't hear a
Hold
bit of what you just
I
said.
think I found that. Trying. Yeah. No, I've done it. I had to go through hoops to get to email Microsoft's account email preferences.
Yeah, that's retarded. That's the only way you can say it. Is it's pretty retarded. So okay, I did a sound check. I'm gonna keep an extra eye on the audio whenever we do this because I don't want to take a chance of it doing like on the last time where everybody's audio was gone. So I'm gonna be monitoring it mostly. I've got the talking points up and ready to go. And here in a minute, we can start it. But what I want to do is go smoke a cigarette real quick. Now, before we start, I know this sounds weird to say, but kind of remind me to pop the audio up so that I can see the audio on here, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Next to the equalizer.
Yeah, that way I can see it. And I don't want to lose any of this. If it turns out to be like the last attempt, it's going to be a good episode.
You just reminded me actually. I wanted to install PathView monitor. You know the PathView framework, close audio graphical interface.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was going to install the monitor.
Okay, hold on a minute.
Even though you can do it through OBS anyway, but
Well, I'm sick of freaking doing all that shit. It just pisses me off. I hate saying it.
Well, like I said, whenever I use OBS, I've actually got templates that I can work from.
I'm gonna sit the background up while I'm gone, and I'm gonna go get some coffee and smoke a cigarette, and then we'll come back. And I'm gonna put some cool music on. I know you like Mr. Robot stuff.
I'm going to have to reduce the volume again.
Do you want me to just go ahead and leave the music off?
I don't care either way.
Because I mean, I'm thinking about driving all these freaking people who get on here.
You've got to come up with a solution to allow music to be through one channel and not through the other.
Well, see, that's a Rumble issue, to be honest with you. Like,
No. Control your browser through one thing, and then.
Well, you can do that on OBS, but as you've seen a couple of times, it gets a little bit freaking complicated and annoying. So I've been working on separating the audio, but it's not an easy task. Just put it to you that way, not without buying extras. So that might be an option.
I'll have a look at it myself.
Yeah.
I'll have a look.
So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on. And,
okay, not bad. I suppose.
Oh man, it's a Lisa, baby. Check me out, right? Hey, I keep it moving, coming right into the prime time. I do not think I belong on the sideline. Oh, you don't like my style? Okay, likewise. Bye. Do not try to cross me if you're in your right mind. See me shine bright, shining like a supernova, lighting up the night sky. Put me in the limelight, like-minded people stay connected like I'm Wi-Fi. Only crushing bangers like it is my 9-5. No, I'm never lazy when I write rhymes. People give me high fives. Always deliver, cause that is my style. So what you know going strong. I don't know, it just happens like that. Can drop a bad song, but I don't have the patience for that. I'm sorry, I can't help it, I'm just keeping it clean. Look at these people bouncing, see what I mean? I don't mean to, I do this just for fun, but I guess I am just, well, you know, the one. Ooh, I do it like that. Drop another banger, then I bring it right back. Right into the hit song just for fun. They can't do it like me because I am the one. I am the one. So what you know about that? About that. Bow. I keep it moving, coming right into the prime time. I do not think I belong on the sideline. Oh, you don't like my style? Okay, likewise. Bye. Do not try to cross me if you're in your right mind. See me shine bright, shining like a supernova, lighting up the night sky. Put me in the limelight, like-minded people stay connected like I'm Wi-Fi. Only crushing bangers like it is my 9-5. No, I'm never lazy when I write rhymes. People give me high fives, always deliver, cause that is my style. So what you know about it? Think that you can do it like I doubt it. Yo. Ooh, I do it like that. Drop another banger, then I bring it right back. Right into the hit song just for fun. They can't do it like me because I am the one. I am the one. So come along as I show the people how it's done. I don't want a lot, I just want to be the number one. I'm coming from places I do not belong. Rise against the wind, never lazy, keep on going strong. I don't know, it just happens like that. Can drop a bad song, but I don't have the patience for that. I'm sorry, I can't help it, I'm just keeping it clean. Look at these people bouncing, see what I mean? I don't mean to, I do this just for fun, but I guess I am just, well, you know, the one. Ooh, I do it like that. Drop another banger, then I bring it right back. Right into the hit song just for fun. They can't do it like me because I am the one. I am the one. So what you know about that? Oh man, yeah. It's Aretha, baby. Check me out, right? Hey, I keep it moving, coming right into the prime time. I do not think I belong on the sideline. Oh, you don't like my style? Okay, likewise. Bye. Do not try to cross me if you're in your right mind. See me shine bright, shining like a supernova, lighting up the night sky. Put me in the limelight, like-minded people stay connected like I'm Wi-Fi. Only crushing bangers like it is my 9-5. No, I'm never lazy when I write rhymes. People give me high fives. Always deliver, cause that is my style. So what you know about it? Think that you can do it like I doubt it. Yo. Ooh, I do it like that. Drop another banger, then I bring it right back. Right into the hit song just for fun. They can't do it like me because I am the one. I am the one. So come along as I show the people how it's done. I don't want a lot, I just want to be the number one. I'm coming from places I do not belong. Rise against the wind, never lazy, keep on going strong. I don't know, it just happens like that. Can drop a bad song, but I don't have the patience for that. I'm sorry, I can't help it, I'm just keeping it clean. Look at these people bouncing, see what I mean? I don't mean to, I do this just for fun. But I guess I am just, well, you know, the one. Ooh, I do it like that. Drop another banger, then I bring it right back. Right into the hit song just for fun. They can't do it like me because I am the one. I am the one. So what you know about that? One. I am the one. That's what you know about that. Bow. Oh man, yeah. It's Aretha, baby. Check me out, right? Hey, I keep it moving, coming right into the prime time. I do not think I belong on the sideline. Oh, you don't like my style? Okay, likewise. Bye. Do not try to cross me if you're in your right mind. See me shine bright, shining like a supernova, lighting up the night sky. Put me in the limelight, like-minded people stay connected like I'm Wi-Fi. Only crushing bangers like it is my 9-5. No, I'm never lazy when I write rhymes. People give me high fives. Always deliver, cause that is my style. So what you know about it? Think that you can do it like I doubt it. Yo. Ooh, I do it like that. Drop another banger, then I bring it right back. Right into the hit song just for fun. They can't do it like me because I am the one. I am the one. So come along as I show the people how it's done. I don't want a lot, I just want to be the number one. I'm coming from places I do not belong. Rise against the wind, never lazy, keep on going strong. I don't know, it just happens like that. Can drop a bad song, but I don't have the patience for that. I'm sorry, I can't help it, I'm just keeping it clean. Look at these people bouncing, see what I mean? I don't mean to, I do this just for fun. But I guess I am just, well, you know, the one. Ooh, I do it like that. Drop another banger, then I bring it right back. Write another hit song just for fun. They can't do it like me because I am the one. I am the one. So what you know about that? About that. Bow. Oh man, it's a Lisa, baby. Check me out, right? Hey, I keep it moving, coming right into the prime time. I do not think I belong on the sideline. Oh, you don't like my style? Okay.
Okay.
I was just saying, God, this is tedious.
Yeah, no, it just
And
keeps.
you,
That's what I'm saying. I need to pull together like the music and just make like a 15-minute thing to where it has different music at least.
yeah,
So
at least 3 tracks. Yeah, at least 3 tracks.
yeah. So I am going to go ahead and get this thing started. You know what I mean? See if we can get things going. I'm so glad I freaking turned off all the notifications on the VoIPs and stuff. So everybody, as soon as we start doing it, freaking everybody starts sending messages and shit.
That's the first thing I do whenever I configure any sort of notification thing, unless it's important. I mean, extremely important. Switch off the audio notifications.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm gonna do my silent freaking countdown, and then I'm gonna start the show. We'll get
Okay.
started. So here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second episode of Untethered. This is Roger Hanson. I'm here with Mark Edworthy. I'd like to say hello to you guys.
Hi.
And
Hi.
hello to everybody. And today is our second attempt at making episode 2, just so everybody knows. The first attempt was actually a pretty damn good stream. We had a really good conversation about the topics that we were talking about. And at the end of it, it was weird because, well, first of all, let me tell you something. Dealing with conspiracies for I don't know how many years now, it makes a person a little bit edgy when you have a stream like that, and right after you mention not using freaking YouTube because of their excessive censorship, the freaking audio for everybody on the panel just goes mute. You know what I mean? It does something to you. It makes you kind of suspicious, and
It's
that's
coincidence.
yeah. I mean, I know like that's ordinary way of thinking, but you got to remember too, man. I mean, I deal with conspiracy freaking all the time. You know what I mean? So it's just something that's like built into my brain now. You know, and it was a good topic or a good conversation. I think it was, at least.
I can hardly remember it.
Yeah, I know. It's
Mind you, we've
because
had, 3-4 videos since, so...
it was
Yeah.
it was a complex conversation that kind of went into a lot of different topics too.
Yeah.
Because first we well, see, first of all, let me just tell everybody what the theme of this this stream is. Now, I call this stream untethered for a reason, and that's because that's what it is. We're not tethered to any topic or anything. We last time we did a show, it was about Moloch and the people who believe in Moloch and the history behind it. Now, this one is about the internet. Now, the theme of it is the internet is a scam, and this is something that I've been wanting to do for quite a long time. And I was really, when I first thought of this, I was really caught between uh, where I wanted to start it off at, because first of all, I've had like experiences from the time I've started doing all of this streaming stuff, and even before that, dealing with eBay and just trying to sell stuff on the internet, So there's things that I've been wanting to talk about on these streams that really there's no proper place to do it if you go according to like topics and things of that nature. Um, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show because I wanted to just say fuck all that bullshit. Let's have a conversation about real stuff and stop trying to follow the leader and figure out what's popular and follow.
More like it's real stuff.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it really is. It's more conversation. It's actually more conversation about what's on people's minds. You know what I mean? It's not
Okay.
about. I don't go on and I don't freaking find out what the current news is or what the most popular conspiracy theories are, and come on and do stuff like that. But there's a lot of people who do that. You know what I mean? And
Indeed, we know quite a few like that.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the things that's really been bugging me because there's a lot of things that don't pertain to those subjects that are really needing to be talked about. So this week I wanted to talk about just things that either I was stuck in between two things. I was stuck between what I said about my experiences starting out all the way up to now, or about a lot of the conversations that we've all had on the Minds Chat concerning just everyday topics when it comes to freaking the internet. So I pulled together some of the stuff that we've actually gotten into good conversations about in some of the streams and everything, and I freaking decided I was going to go with that instead. And I think the one thing that really stuck out to me is why, and it's the reason why I made the theme for this show, "The Internet is a Scam," was every time I bring up this thing about the internet is supposed to be a place where people can share information freely among one another. Me personally, I think that's a load of shit, and I think that it was that was a freaking idea that was planted into people's heads to try to get them to believe that that's what it was about, when in reality it wasn't. And I've done research on this shit too. And I know me and you have our differences of opinion about that,
Well, I agree. There was a portion 90s, early 2000s that the internet was free in your estimation. But
that's it.
it will determine on what you mean by free, really, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, free is free, dude.
Free, what free? As in free, as in beer, or free? Oh yeah, the old open source argument. The free as in beer, or free as in liberty.
Why can't you have free beer and free liberty? I mean, shit. Come on, dude.
That
What
sounds good.
we got to freaking pick
Um,
and choose and shit. You know what I mean? That's the scam, dude. That's exactly the example I needed to freaking say my point. That's what the scam is. Now you have to pick and choose. What are we talking about when it comes to freedom? You know what I mean?
what do you determine? What do you call freedom? What do you call free?
Okay.
More importantly, welcome
And,
freedom.
and this brings me to what I was talking about with DARPA. Okay. Now everybody, whoever freaking does the actual research, knows that freaking DARPA was the one who developed the internet first. This is
Aided to develop, not developed. Universities, MIT,
they used
um,
they used university.
Cambridge.
They used these universities as experiments so that they could, they were basically guinea pigs to see if the freaking shit that they.
Cambridge, in around Cambridge in the UK, a lot of inventions have been created due to the internet. It aided in the World Wide Web as part of the CERN
See,
project.
now you're talking about the World Wide Web, and we've already had that
Yeah,
discussion
but
too.
but
That,
yeah. But Cambridge is also known for universities. UK universities was known for aiding and abetting in the creation of the internet, in, of the 1967 post 67 internet.
but okay, now with academic roots, okay, that started between the 70s and the 80s. So, and the internet
Also,
itself was
companies
being.
companies like Acorn Computers, the people, if it technically if it wasn't for Acorn Computers, you wouldn't have any ARM chipsets now, because they came up with the entire concept of RISC and ARM but yeah, they had influence in wide area networking as well
Now
back in the 80s, early
this
80s.
this is only for the academic roots, though. Like that was during the
No,
70s.
yeah.
The
Acorn Computers
military,
had association with the Department of Education, but it was also a private company in its own right,
but
and
see,
it did sell.
military research into freaking the internet goes all the way back into the 60s, maybe even into
Yeah,
the 50s.
68, 67
You know,
was arguably 64, but yeah, 67 is the common sort of concept of when the internet was born.
now with the internet, they used to. I mean, everything about DARPA was established.
Actually, to say the internet, let's call it wide area network rather than the internet,
Well, let's call it
because the
ARPANET.
internet,
Let's call it
yeah, is a
ARPANET.
wide area TCP/IP network, and in effect,
Now, like
that's
everybody today, when you say DARPA, everybody thinks conspiracy theory, but they don't realize that freaking DARPA is actually yeah, the name that it was changed to is originally named ARPANET. Okay, and that was a Advanced Research Project Agency Network. Okay, now that was what freaking I'm referring to when I say ARPANET, and that is the roots of DARPA. That's where DARPA came out of, and that all centers around the internet. Okay, nothing else. The internet, and it also has ties into video games, and they use video games to experiment with these colleges, is what I found out. And the game Pong that everybody used to play our ages when we were young, okay, that was actually called ping pong that the military used in colleges, and they would have students playing ping pong so that they could freaking measure their reaction time whenever it came to hitting the ball on the video game. That was the information I came up with. So, and with what you were saying too with MIT. I haven't yet been able to find the information out on MIT yet. I haven't had time to.
Okay. Well, there is a big university drive in the US at this time. Back in the, I've just found a diagram of ARPANET's the principles of TCP/IP. So ARPANET.
No,
Uh,
TCP/IP. Yeah,
yeah,
that
which is really what ARPANET did. It actually created the TCP/IP protocol for wide area networks.
mhm.
Switching.
Distributed control, and
Yeah.
it was one of the first computer networks to implement it.
Mm. The diagram that I've got, I just gave you the URL to, is data center free. So there has been changes within what, 6 years, 7 years.
Is it in?
67 free.
Now that's in the chat, right?
Mm.
Yeah, there we go.
And yeah, it's been published by Harvard, Stanford, so MIT.
Now I'm gonna pull that one up. I also have a diagram for ARPA too that I can show as well. Um, that's 973.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
6 years later from the original concept, 7 years later from the original concept.
yeah, they won't let me pop it up as a picture by itself though. That's the only bad part. Actually, you know what? I could probably save in image.
Yeah, that screen capture or something.
Yep. Let me go ahead. I can put it into my saved pictures. I usually save this stuff anyhow, so it's important to keep it. That way I can make a cool slideshow out of it later on. And then what I'll do is I can come in here and I can freaking just upload it directly to the stream so that everybody can see it. But
Yeah.
let me figure out what the hell I'm doing because I'm still I'm not as bad as what I was over before, but I'm still having issues when it comes to all this stuff. Like they also have graphics on here, and then they have overlays. Now I'm gonna name this one ARPA 2, and I'm gonna make it full screen. And we can do it that way. Okay, here we go. So this is what we've got right here. And I can probably go ahead and just do it as background.
You might want.
You're going.
Oh no. It was just my screen. Yeah, it looks okay.
Okay. All right. So this is basically what you've got right there. That's the map of it. Now this is for today, or is this originally but when it first started?
This is the concept as it was in 1973.
Okay, so I found one that's for 1977.
Okay, so
now I can add.
That much difference between the two, but there will be some differences.
Yeah. Now I can turn around. I can pull that one up too here in a minute. I've got that one uploaded, and all I can do is switch them around because this is actually pretty interesting. You've got this in 1973. Like, is that what you said?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what it's dated for.
so we have that one, and then this is what would look like in 4 years. ARPA. Dude, this actually should have been ARPA 2, and the one right there. This one should have been ARPA 1, and then this next one should have been ARPA 2.
There's been a couple of versions between 1967 and 19.
You see that?
Yeah. Oh, I have to move it down to my smaller screen.
Now
Okay, so they've changed the name.
yeah, and it's a logical map. Apparently, I think that's different. No, that's a logical map too.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
just comparing the. Do you want to switch back to the other one?
yeah.
Comparing the numbers. Yeah.
hmm Big difference. ETAC down there, and then the pop 10 right there. You see all
Yeah,
that?
but you've got PDP. It's PDP or PLP pop. Pop 10 on the other one. Yeah, there.
PDP,
Cool enough.
PDP 15 and PDP 10. Now down up on in that same area, it says PDP 10, and then
Yeah, it's exactly the same. Yes. So yeah, in essence, nothing has really changed.
now that was
There's
that was
been more.
yeah. There's more added,
Yeah, that.
more added. That's the thing that really stood out to me because like whenever I seen the one you just showed, it looks like it expanded a bit more right there, up in this area right here on the left hand side. Well, actually, all over the place. To be honest with you, that's huge. Well, no, it's pretty interesting. It really is.
But yeah, point being that the concept was ever moving until what 90? I don't know when. Well, I suppose technically the internet became, the web became the internet, so to speak, in what 93, 94. So web first Netscape Navigator released its first version in 92.
You know,
Or Mozilla, the original Mozilla,
there
released it in 92.
there was something, in our last time trying to do this, there was something that I really should have gotten started out with that I failed to do until later when Mr. Robot came in. But I really think that it should have been brought up earlier after I mentioned it. But um, we were talking about freaking hold up, what was the name of that company that was out? Let me I've got to find it. I can pop down here.
Company doing what?
We were talking about CDK Global and all that.
Yeah, the car people. Yeah.
But before I got into that, what I should have been doing is actually discussing another company that was first before we got into that because um, they're CompuServe.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, when we were talking, like at this phase right here, that is something that was actually important that really should have been brought up, like how CompuServe actually played a part when it came to early internet users. You know what I'm saying?
I would argue on the especially in Europe, not so much in the US, but in Europe, TV things like teletext, Oracle, the French national version, which I can never remember the name of, those telex TV systems were probably the first thing that the average person would have in Europe, at least, would have in far as the internet. Arguably for um, so-called geeks and people that were interested. 78, 79, so CompuServe, BBX systems,
That was
and
back in
other, yeah,
1969, and they started out as a time sharing and remote access
yeah.
service. Uh, they were
But
marketed
it
corporation.
wasn't really. 82, I would argue, in both in UK and US, that BBS systems became popular in society at large.
Now, the whole thing about CompuServe, though, that you have to understand, this became so notorious, okay, that people. This is where a lot of the conspiracies about Radio Shack came out of, and H&R Block. And I know a lot of people today haven't heard about all that, but like with Radio Shack, back in
Tandy in the UK. Yeah, Radio Shack was labelled under branding on Tandy in the UK.
and that's where Radio Shack actually hit big was back in 1979
Yeah,
because CompuServe ended up
but
selling.
Radio Shack really got popular because of its so-called boom boxes and other hi-fi equipment at the time.
Yeah, but it was pretty strange because like now people don't know, okay, but like people our age, we know like
And also remember
Radio Shack
back
was
in,
like.
I think, 80, 81, they introduced their own computer, 8-bit computer. I think it was called the Tandy.
Yeah, I think so. Hmm.
Yeah. Here they had an 8-bit computer, but it didn't last as long as, let's say, the Commodores and the BBCs. But it lasted something like 4 or 5 years before all software development was ceased.
And with Radio
Yeah,
Shack, I mean, the amount of growth they had was amazing because it was like here in the United States, we always talk about that with a convenience store called Circle K. Like Circle
yeah.
K is on every corner, and that was the way Radio Shack was. There was a Radio Shack pretty much in every freaking town, and not just cities. I'm talking every town.
Uh, Tandy, the UK subsidiary company, was extremely popular, but it was also popular because of higher purchase agreements. You could, um, well, hire rent your TV or your radio, and buy it on lease from them. So,
Yeah,
so they had a real big sort of quite a few companies were doing that sort of practice at the time, but that's buy equipment on buy to lease contracts is what made them very popular in the UK.
and then when you stop and think about it, like in 1980, okay, that's when H&R Block ended up buying freaking Radio Shack, and then um, CompuServe started dominating the industry all through the 1980s. They even bought their competitor, the Source, out.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's two competitors. I can never remember the name of the other one, Metra, something I can't remember. But also AOL. This is where AOL started in business as well. In the
Yeah.
80s, but obviously they didn't really get popular until they became a more internet thing back in 90. They were extremely early on the market. They were 94 or 90, no, 96, I think.
Yeah, and
Remember?
now it's also worth noting that this is also where when you're talking about AOL and everything, this is also the beginnings of the World Wide Web. You
Yeah,
know,
but AOL also did BBS systems beforehand.
but you know what I'm saying, though. It was like
But
this.
yeah,
This
but
was
but,
like
but AOL jumped onto the web market quite quickly. But it was originally a another CompuServe dial-up service.
now the one
Oh,
big thing. The one big thing that has to also be pointed out is something that you were mentioning about chatting. CompuServe was basically an online chat system by the
yeah.
time the '90s came, and that's why. Well, I'm presuming that's
Um,
why you were talking about you
in
had
Eu-
chat.
in Europe, I was talking about the telex system, but
Yeah.
services like Prestel came to market, and they were sort of really insular sort of BBS systems, much more common in Europe than in the US.
Now the other one I believe you were talking about, other than American Online, it was also Prodigy. Prodigy was another of the big.
Yeah. I can never. Yeah.
And now now after you get into AOL, you start seeing the rise of like the modern systems, the stuff that everybody's used to now with the one with the other.
I don't know. AOL for a long time, throughout the 90s, late 90s, and throughout the 2000s, they were using their sort of own closed, I don't know, I wouldn't call it browser, but their own closed application,
Now
weren't they?
the,
They weren't really using, they used, for a long time, AOL used Netscape, for as a subsidiary sort of browser when we were looking at pages, but a lot of AOL's appeal was that one single interface that you could pick up emails and chats and do other things in.
well, see, this is the thing that what I'm coming up with, and a lot of people miss out on this because they don't remember it all that well. But you remember WorldCom, don't you?
Maybe.
MCI,
Yeah. MCI. The broadband
Verizon,
manufacturer.
yeah,
Oh,
Verizon,
that's
MCI.
MCI.
Yeah, MCI is actually freaking. Their trade name is Verizon Enterprise Solutions.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Okay. MCI.
but they were also known as WorldCom. Okay, and
Yeah.
and
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah. Carry on.
now what happened was is in right around 1997 or so, freaking this company WorldCom, which is Verizon, uh, ended up acting as a broker. Then
Yeah.
they are the ones who eventually sold CompuServe to freaking AOL. Okay, so
Okay.
all of this got started being uh, I guess you could say it started being merged together, becoming eventually the World Wide Web. And you've seen that a lot back in the day where it was all being freaking put together and conglomerated or whatever you want to call it. All of these different companies that were all in, big part of the internet. They were being merged together, and that's what I remember when it comes to AOL, and then the emergence of the World Wide Web, and even like today when everybody talks about the World Wide Web, okay, like it was supposed to be so much more than what it was actually. Uh, it actually turned out to be like they were making it out to be the next best thing. You know what I mean? Everybody was supposed to freaking get on the World Wide Web, and we were all going to live free and happy lives. You know what I'm saying?
You've been watching too much Star Trek.
No, I mean, I
So
remember the '80s. I remember freaking middle-aged women going to strip malls and fucking learning how to type and learn word processing. You know what I mean? So that they could freaking learn how to be a secretary and work on a computer. You know, these
I've,
were
I've remember back in the mid-90s, I was teaching, or I was acting as classroom support and tech support
Yeah.
for a college.
And this introduces my first part of the internet is a fucking scam. Okay, all those people that went to those strip malls to learn word processing, I guarantee you, are still working a shit job, saying, you know what, fuck y'all, motherfuckers.
They may be working from home.
What are they doing?
Well, still typing. You don't have to be in an office to type.
I've never had a secretary job in my life, and I can type freaking 60 words per freaking second, dude. Okay, and I know QWERTY.
A minute.
That's
Per
like,
second.
isn't it per second?
Yeah.
It's like 60 words per second.
Per minute. So, yeah, 60 divided by 12.
60 words per minute, yeah. That's the minimum for being a secretary right there, dude. I've never had a class.
Yeah. That's always the thing. But I don't know. I probably am quite rusty. I haven't had the test in years, but at 1.120.
But yeah, I figured
But that was many years ago.
I figured that was one thing that I messed up on with the first time. Whenever we did it, I think it would have been, especially with talking about ARPA and DARPA. Bringing up CompuServe would have been a better way of doing it, because I know that you wanted to point out what I considered what the internet was, and you got pretty rowdy about it, if I remember.
Okay.
Now, we've been kind of talking about it too, but like the other day when we were on Tech Talk, and we were talking about sound waves and things of that nature. Things like back in the day, whenever you used the internet, you freaking took your phone and you stuck it on the receiver. You remember that?
Yeah.
And it did the ringtones. You remember the funny little ringtones?
Well, if you've got a iPhone or a Apple device, you've got some wonderful ringtones on those.
Mm-hmm. Now that is what that's what I was talking about. That was before metadata. You know what I mean? And that right there is probably the purest form of internet that you could possibly get. Now, when you start looking at in my opinion, when you start looking at the wonderful world of internet, the worldwide web, what you're looking at is metadata. You know what I mean? You're looking at frickin' HTMLs and stuff like that. That's what that's all about.
You watch the I can't remember the UK Loki. The rule is the thing is that the internet is to say load of pages with interlinked resource locators in them. So that's what the internet is. That's what the web is, should I say?
And like the networks actually is what is important, because a lot of people don't understand, like your router that's sitting in your house.
The internet is mainly about hardware.
It's your routers.
It's always
it's running out to different networks. And it's creating its own network. You're getting excited.
And being added to another network. In theory, any computing device could become an internet server of one description or another. Mm-hmm. Because that's the entire concept. Networks of networks. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Now this brings me back to ARPA. Now ARPA, or at the time it was called ARPA. Now it's referred to as DARPA. What I learned was the earliest forms of internet was when gaming emerged, and I've mentioned this on Gaming with Infinite.
Actually, the earliest form of internet would be email. Actually, I
Oh, it
believe
could have been beforehand. It could have been before, maybe, but I doubt it. You know what I mean? Because this started with the academia.
email. Yeah, emails. Standard addresses go back to 1960s, possibly late 50s.
Maybe. I
Maybe, but yeah, back in at least the mid '60s. So yeah, email addresses
yeah.
was, as you could argue, was the first practical usage of the internet.
Well, networks like ARPANET would also allow researchers and freaking institutions to connect
Yeah,
computers into like colleges and stuff too, so that they
yeah,
could.
and that's where you get protocols like FTP and Gopher
Mhm.
and Finger from. When was the last time you used the Gopher service? I
I know.
presume you have.
All I know is from that era, they were saying that they were using them for experiments like multi-user dungeons. They had that,
Yeah,
and then they were using freaking
yeah,
text-based
yeah.
games.
Colossus Caves. Yeah,
Yeah.
Colossus
Um,
Caves, it dates back to about 73, 74.
Now you remember text-based games, right?
I still am a fan of text-based adventures. What a lot of people would call interactive fiction these days. But yeah, I
Well,
do occasionally,
well,
very occasionally these days.
they also had the older ones that you did over the phone. You didn't even have to freaking be like when they first came out with the mobiles. You know what I mean? I remember you could actually play a text-based game over a mobile phone.
Mm,
Where they would say that like a troop of maybe 10,000 soldiers were marching towards your fort, and you had to either defend it or attack it, and it would literally take in real time 3 days before
okay,
their troops got to you.
okay.
So you had to wait in real time 3 days to find out if you won the battle or not. You know what I mean? It was pretty cool actually. And then you built up your armies, and all it was freaking digital numbers. You know what I'm saying? There was no animation, no nothing.
I don't know. Once upon a time, chess over phone was popular. Playing
Mhm.
chess over a couple days, a game over a couple days. Yeah,
Well, I mentioned the Colossal Cave Adventure to you. You remember that,
yeah,
don't you?
yeah,
That was
yeah.
back in 1976.
Okay, since six.
Yeah, and they were precursors to like modern day role playing games. So
Adventure games. Do play a few point and click adventure games, so Monkey Island type things.
now,
Uh,
now see, a lot of people, or you especially, because you're real hard headed about this. Just to let you know, okay? But these games, they had a limited audience, okay? Only people who had access to them, or had access to like a specialized system could be a part of it. You know what I mean? Not everybody could have
I
access.
don't know. By '82, technology was easier to come by.
Well, we're talking about
After all,
1970.
in the 8-bit revolution.
Hmm. Yeah, you got to also remember we're talking about the 70s and stuff. On
Yeah.
1970, 1980, right around there.
Okay, 78 was the start of the sort of home computer revolution. Um, there was a lot of places that were using dumb terminals in effect.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, the 8-bit computer revolution really didn't start until
until MCI brokered a deal with CompuServe and sold CompuServe to AOL,
Yeah.
which eventually
Mm.
became the beginnings of the World Wide Web, where these corporations started merging
Yeah.
together and taking control and saying, look, man, all your free internet exchange bullshit is a pack of lies. Now you're going to do shit according to our rules. This is what you have to do in
But
order.
you can always, no, you're missing the point of the internet or the web,
Yeah,
because it's all about allowing any machine to be a server of any response. You could spin up your own network. You can spin up your own web server. You can spin up your own
are there
site.
rules? Are there rules that you have to follow for in order on the internet, on the
In
world
what
web?
sense?
Anything that has the name.
Uh,
What are the rules? What are
it
the rules?
depends. It depends on what you're doing on the internet.
Tell me,
Depends.
what is coming to your mind right now when it comes to rules and what we're talking about.
I was just thinking about the recent online UK online child safety and what's happening in Canada and what's happening in Australia at the moment. But wills, what wills? Such a broad question.
You know exactly what I'm talking
Such a
about.
broad question.
Okay, now what are the rules of the internet? When you
The
okay, what are the rules concerning the World Wide Web?
in which relation there's tons of rules. In the US, as an example, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, the various child safety acts, the various making sure that internet servers are not exploding rules.
Okay, now this is basically a generic explanation freaking of what the World Wide Web is. It allows documents and other web resources to be accessed over the internet according to specific rules of the hypertext transfer protocol, the HT.
Oh, you mean those sort of rules?
Yeah.
The request for comments rules and the ISO standards and the IEC and standards, and there's a lot of rules. Technical rules.
Now, that's what I'm talking about. That is where it all got. That's where it all became the big scam, dude. Everybody freaking fell for it. They're like, "Oh, this is just an open society of free information," and
It can be.
they didn't bother to think that freaking once they put that HTTP on that shit, everything you freaking do, everything you say, everything is already being monitored. They can freaking track you because of your freaking address. Okay.
That's why you shouldn't publish your address everywhere.
But that's my whole point. Now they've gone from, it was like me and you had the conversation on Mine's Roundtable, okay, about the VCR and the reason why corporations hated the VCR with a passion, okay,
Yeah.
and the reason why is because
License agreements, really.
no, it was really untraceable. That's really what annoyed them. Okay, like they had content that they were broadcasting over the television, and this
was organisations where that's why Betamax never got off, because of the license agreement.
but they wanted to push this metadata.
Like you do with okay, metadata.
Yeah, they wanted to push this metadata afterwards because they seen it as an issue when it came to freaking people being able to just freely record TV shows. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
the
And
like looking of ownership.
right, and the thing about VCRs is when you recorded something on a VCR that was untraceable, it was clean. Okay, the original VCRs, they were clean. There was no metadata in it whatsoever. So that means that
Yeah.
they can't hit you with copyright laws. They have to physically arrest you,
Well,
catch.
if you're breaking copyright laws, then unless you've gone down the Mr. Robot or Bill Ottman's route of the internet, everything on the internet should be free, and there's no such thing as ownership argument.
Well, that's the thing that gets really tricky about it all. Is like you have to. I mean, because when it comes to copyright, there are copyright things that I do agree with. You know what I mean? I think freaking, but I also know that copyright doesn't pertain to everybody. You know what I mean? Like freaking, if I don't have the
Well,
money
there's
to put a
circumstances where,
copyright on
yeah,
something, then I'm screwed. Somebody can come along and steal my shit. And I have no way of freaking protecting myself because and they always say, "Oh yeah, put a date on there with your name and it's copywritten." Well, that doesn't work on the fucking
yeah.
internet.
No, best trick is to stick your ID in an envelope, then send it registered mail posted to you.
Yeah, I've actually heard that. Now that's in real life. That is in real life. You can do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, excuse me. That coffee started breaking me down. I had coffee and then I ate some peanut butter before that, which I know I shouldn't do, but it's just hard to stay away from. You know what I mean? But
Can't stand peanut butter.
you can't stand peanut butter. That's horrible.
Stop peanut butter.
Now, now the thing that I also wanted to mention too about these games is even though they are freaking they're specialized, that you had to have specialized access basically is what I was saying in order to participate in these games. All right.
Okay.
And not everybody had access to them. You know, I mean, they were interconnected games that were like set up like in universities to where people went in there and they freaking played these games, and they were being monitored so that freaking the military could actually see what their reaction times were in these games and how they
Also, there is the commercial element to that. It wasn't just the military. Speed times is of interest to commercial bodies as well.
you also
And
have to
more,
take into consideration the time periods. Like in the 70s, that was the military's time. Now, in the 80s,
yeah, but
when it started getting commercial,
uh,
with CompuServe and what we were just talking about, that was when everything started getting commercial. And I think we even had a conversation too where there was a company that ended up getting into a freaking lawsuit over video games because I think it was the ones that came up with the pinball machines. They
okay,
they ended up freaking getting into it. Well, yeah, it was over Pong, over the rights to who actually owned Pong.
okay.
They were actually contractors for the freaking United States government, and they had the
I
rights
think I've
to
heard
it.
this one. Yeah,
And they
yeah,
actually,
yeah, I've heard of it.
hmm and they had the rights to it. But when they had it, it was called ping pong, and it, the ones that we're aware of that was on Atari was actually Pong.
Yeah.
They,
You mean on the Atari 2600
Mhm.
series machines, yeah?
And see, the thing of it is why I think all this is interesting is because of the growth. Okay, when it comes to games, like now, gaming is the largest segment of the entertainment industry. To be honest with you, uh,
I don't know. I would have to look at actual data on that one.
I,
Um,
I'm
well,
pretty sure it's higher than both film and music combined. From the last
okay.
time I've seen it, it's really really high. I mean,
On GDP.
and you know when we were
What?
talking about Activision too, you know what I mean? Like freaking that was a big deal. That was freaking the entire freaking EU that put their noses into that freaking transaction.
Yeah, but also we get issues with the game industry these days, or the mainstream gaming industry. Have a look at all the corruption that happens,
Hmm.
the allegations that are made.
Now, after all of that, what we were actually talking about, we passed on to that from that one, and then we got into freaking computer hacking, the cool stuff. So
Right.
you know what I mean. That was where everything got really really cool, in my opinion. Uh,
Okay, yeah. Where I criticised your usage of the word hacking.
well, you know, I'm gonna tell you right now, hacking is a very very useful word.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It really is because I agree with you, but I also agree with Mr. Robot on some of his points too. You know,
okay.
because like on your with your points, I do agree that freaking hacking doesn't necessarily mean freaking hacking a computer. Okay,
Yeah,
there are people who like life hacks or hacking freaking cooking hacks, things of that nature. So the term, I mean, it's basically
it has been misused in the computer industry for the last, what,
what
30, 40 odd years, yeah.
you
Or
call
30,
the bastardization of the word hacking is what I
yeah.
remember.
Something
Uh,
like that, yeah.
the only thing I disagree with you and Robot over is the fact I think that all of it was done intentionally. Okay, I personally believe that all of this was done intentionally, and
Oh, so,
because I believe that they really wanted to come down on the internet community with harsher freaking rules and regulations that they had to follow. And I used, what was his name again? He was the guy that parachuted out of the airplane with all that money. Um, oh God, let me. I'm gonna run his name up again because this is
Richard
real,
Branson?
huh?
Richard Branson?
No, he was back in the
Oh,
70s. He
okay,
parachuted out of an airplane. DB Cooper. Okay. Now
okay.
this is where my conspiracy about the whole thing comes into play because a lot of the conspiracy theorists believe this, and I think they have actually a good argument here. The older conspiracy theorists. Now they believe that DB Cooper was actually a government agent who freaking staged the whole thing. Okay, and the reason why they were doing it was back during the 70s. There were
And
a
on
lot.
stage, what then?
He
You said
staged.
stage.
Well, see, the whole thing that took place was he was supposed to have been on this airplane. He stole like $2,000 back in the 70s, 20,000
Yeah.
somewhere around there. I think it was $20,000.
Equivalent to one, I mean, 6.50, so 1,600 million
Mhm.
in 200,000 at the time.
200,000, yeah.
Yeah, US
He
dollars.
to see what had happened was he was supposed to have parachuted out of the airplane and they never found him at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
They found some
Well,
of the money eventually, but not all of it. Now, the big conspiracy is that this guy was an FBI agent, and the reason why he did this was he was staging it so that frickin' it would later make it possible for the government to come up with frickin' stronger regulations on the airports, which they eventually did, like maybe 6 months later. You see, so but they had to get the public's frickin' attention and make it seem as if there was a need for it. You know what I mean? Because at the time there were terrorists that were taking over airplanes and using.
Yeah, the Iranian Iran
Well, you
issues.
remember the one down in Florida too, don't you? Or they
I can't remember that much as far as US-Iran issues. I remember things like the UK, the US embassy in UK incident. But yeah, what was it? The 1982 incident where Thatcher was doing the Conservative annual meeting.
and the other one that I was talking about, they were in Florida and the hostages had taken over the airplane and wanted to go to Cuba.
Okay.
And they said,
Actually, yeah, I seem to, yeah.
okay, now that was going on, and they really wanted to put stronger regulations on airports to stop that from happening. So a lot of conspiracy theorists believe that frickin' they staged DB Cooper and what happened there so that they could frickin' make it a national frickin' incident that everybody could see on the news. And whenever they started trying to put these regulations in, they could say, well, we need to do it because look what happened with DB Cooper over here. He was able to steal $200,000 and jump out of an airplane with it, you know?
Okay.
So, and why I'm bringing all that up is that's what I'm thinking about when it comes to these hackings, these supposed hackings that took place in the 1970s and the 1980s. I believe that these were all they were staged so that they could use them as examples in order to put freaking stronger regulations on the internet. And I really do believe that.
When was the first UK internet related? I suppose you could say the Communications Act of 94, I think was the first version, First Amendment. You had some malicious communication at both the UK and the US dating back to 87, maybe a bit earlier.
Now I know that was when I wanted to mention something that I'm glad in a way that we did this over because, well, before I get on to it, let me kind of put where I'm going with all this.
Okay.
Now, when I was growing up, I remember that they were really pushing it on television and movies. How kids were running around and hacking into freaking bank ATMs and shit with these little devices and stealing money out of ATMs and running amok and everything. You know what I mean? They were just horrible teenagers and stuff. And they had freaking movies come out like War Games. You know what I mean? Where this kid accidentally hacks into the freaking government's freaking nuclear freaking program and gets a supercomputer to freaking play a game that's gonna release nuclear weapons. You know?
It's fictional.
Well, I mean, that I don't think that stuff was actually freaking just somebody coming up with an idea. I think that this stuff was being paid for by the government so that freaking they could push this agenda to where people think that this stuff was actually real and it was actually happening. Okay, because there was a lot of it. Okay, I remember episodes of like Simon and Simon where freaking they brought it up. They came out with a TV series called The Whiz Kid, where he was.
Yeah, you showed me a few clips in the past.
You know.
Yeah.
So they were really pushing it, and I I did research on it, and I found out that like in the 1970s there were very few arrests at all when it comes to hacking. Computer hacking was like still in its infancy. Um, and it's like most of them were like freaking tech hobbyists, engineers, maybe some students, and that was it. You know, and it was like what you said. That, back then, like the word hacking was actually just another word for that meant like tinkering. Or
Yeah, tinkering with
tinkering or pushing
modification
systems
or
to their limits.
yeah.
Now, this is where we got into MIT the last time. Do you remember the Model Railroad Club
Well, Model Railway Club was in Hornby.
out of MIT? Tech Model.
Okay. Yeah, I'm aware of it. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
MIT's Tech Model Railroad Club, uh, they came out with like the early version of phone freaking.
Hmm.
Okay, and that's where it comes in with like tinkering around with things. Like I remember I used to know how to take a freaking paper clip, and I used to wrap it around my freaking pointing finger, and if I wrapped it around right and I hooked it at a straight hook, I could take and put that inside of the key area of a freaking payphone, and I could jiggle it,
Huh.
and I could actually get free phone calls.
um, Owning up to a crime. um, um, I have come across some extremely good 70s sort of how to modify radio and books, and I've actually come across a 1950s. Back in the 50s, especially in the US, it was quite common for young boys mainly to play on the crystal radio sets and stuff.
Mhm.
So there was a big sort of movement in the 50s, and yeah, when it got to the 70s and early 80s, yeah, there was a big movement in modifying stuff. Um, and how to it goes back to the World War II thing of trying to um, keep your machines running for as long as possible, rather than today's concept of just throw away equipment.
Well, I mean, the thing of it was, is like it was really the arrests were actually um, not very freaking frequent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but again, it's it's white collar crime, and it was done by very few people because of they didn't have the resources.
Well, I mean, back in the '70s, this is where I bring up Captain Crunch. Now, a lot of people don't know him. I actually mentioned it to you guys in the first attempt to do this, and you guys thought I was talking about the cereal guy. So
Okay, I
yeah, but Captain Crunch, his real name was John Draper. Now, what he did is he actually got arrested because he got arrested for phone freaking, and what did is he used a toy whistle to make free calls. He would mimic
yeah,
the AT&T tones with
good
an actual toy
DTMF,
whistle. Yeah,
DTMF.
yeah, he would mimic the freaking phone AT&T tones, and it would give him a free call. You know, so that right there is, and that was one of the most freaking prominent ones. That was the biggest one of the biggest ones they could come up with back in the '70s. Then they said that the most recognizable arrests started happening in the early 1980s, and that
Yeah,
was
when
because that was with the rise
but
of
that's because of the 8-bit machines being computers being popular, and modems slowly becoming popular, with restrictions on shared phone lines.
Mhm. And they started becoming
You,
they became more common and like the last time we tried to do this, I first I brought up 414s, um, the 414s, which was a group of teenagers out of Milwaukee. But before I do that, I need to bring up the most infamous hacking incident that happened ever, especially when it comes to the 1980s.
ever,
Yeah, ever, dude, ever.
okay.
And see, I should have remembered this one because this is probably the most famous hack job that was ever done, and that was when Max Headroom took over freaking WGN
Okay. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Chicago. Okay, and I mean, we've had this conversation at least 3 times, and at least, and I don't understand why I freaking forgot it. And then after we did that show the last time, I was sitting on the back porch, smoking my cigarette, and I freaking said, "Dude, just Max Headroom popped into my head." I was like, "Hold on, dude! Like that was like the freaking biggest hack in history,
Yeah.
dude." You know, and freaking I never once thought of it until that moment. I'm like, dude, I should be ashamed of myself. You know what I mean? Like, but what happened is this was in 1987, and a guy dressed up like um, Max Headroom uh, hijacked um, the television station, or actually it was 2 stations in Chicago. The first attempt was with WGN, which apparently the people involved with it had a problem with. Um, so they had some kind of vendetta with them, and they got on there and they started their hack on taking over the actual freaking network while I was in the middle of broadcast, and it lasted for about 15 seconds until the station caught on to the fact that they had done it, so they shut them down. So what they ended up doing, uh, that they ended up freaking, well, they didn't have their entire broadcast done. So that's what they suspect. They said, well, these guys freaking really wanted to get it out, so they went to their competitor new channel station and hacked them to finish the freaking broadcast. Okay, so that's the big one. Now that takes me back to freaking what I was talking about with this shit just being a setup, like with what's his name, Cooper, DB Cooper. You know what I mean? To this day, they have never busted the people who were involved in that incident whatsoever.
Mhm.
You know, they've got no leads on it. It's still a mystery that they've never been able to solve. They've had theories on it, but they don't know.
Yeah. What's this about LJ Cosse? Yeah, Cosse. That's related to this because
Well,
just looking through the Wikipedia page on there's an entry called "Death of LJ Cosse."
what does that mean, though?
Um,
You know what I'm saying? I mean, think about that. What does that mean? You know, I mean, that's the crazy part about it is, um, the second incident I found out it was during the later on during the day. They did it in the same day.
Yeah.
It was WTTW W's broadcast of Doctor Who during Doctor Who. That's when they did it. I think that was probably the most really wretched part about it. Like, Max Headroom freaking butting in on Doctor Who as he was saving the universe. I know. No, I mean, you being English, that should just piss you off, dude.
Who was Doctor Who back in '87?
What?
What's the name of Doctor Who back in '87?
There was the blonde one.
That make me, 11?
Yeah.
Um,
That would have been the blonde one. He would have been the later one, so.
okay.
Now the thing about this is like they got on there, okay, and the guy was imitating Max Headroom, who at the time was like really big on Coke commercials. So he made it look like on the video it was a Coke commercial, and then he goes to freaking showing his butt, his bare butt, and then out of the sight a woman takes freaking fly swatter and starts swatting his butt with the fly swatter, yelling, "They're coming to get me!"
Okay.
It's like I don't know. He was yelling, "They're coming to get me!" I'm guessing, and freaking and then the woman was responding by saying, "Bend over, bitch." So
Okay.
it got a little out of hand and rowdy up in there. So the whole thing, the reason why I say that that's suspicious is because that happened, okay? And then the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC,
Yeah.
came in and did a criminal investigation. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And they couldn't find anything out. But it freaking hit national news, So that right there is really suspicious to me. I think it is, I really believe that was just a scam. It was a freaking form of propaganda to freaking have it to where the FCC could freaking put stronger regulations on the airways and freaking internet and all that stuff.
I don't know the history of the FCC, but it's not as old as the Office of Communication, Ofcom. I mean, Ofcom's been around since I think the 1950s.
I don't know about that, to be honest with you. Ofcom.
Yeah, I think they've been around since the 1950s, possibly earlier. No, actually, it'd be post-war because with the Office of Information or something during World War II. So yeah, it'd be in the 1950s. Ofcom's been around. So how long has the FCC been?
Hold up, let me find the date first. I've got it pulled up on the freaking search engine, so I can probably find the date when it was started for Ofcom. Now, no, it doesn't. Managing it's most definitely older than the FCC because it was like we said last night. I mean, the British are freaking anal retentive about regulating shit. You know what I mean?
Some British.
Well, I mean, not really. I had to do it.
Okay.
Now, Ofcom was formed. When was Ofcom established? Is what I should do. Ofcom was established on December 29, 2003. So it's not. So FCC would have been older than Ofcom.
In its modern form. No, that's in this modern form. What was Ofcom has been known as Office of Communication for a lot longer. That's a modern telephone. The FCC was founded the Communications Act of 1934
Yeah.
to
So
regulate telephone, telegraph, and radio communications. When was UK Office of Communication founded?
it was
Communication.
Ofcom was formally established on December the 29th, 2003. It was created under the Communications Act of
Oh
2003.
yeah. Sorry. The Independent Television Commission, as it was called before.
Right. So it
There
officially
was
became known as Ofcom in 2003, but it inherited the duties of 5 previous regulators. So, I mean, yeah,
21.
5.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, some of them are older than others. I mean, just saw the Independent Television Commission. That was 1991, but that was a new body that was brought in by the Broadcasting Act of 1990. But yeah, there are unlike the US, at one point we had multiple organisations dealing with television, radio, and telegraph, phone.
Now, see, after that, then you come to the 414s. Okay, now these were a group of teenagers from Milwaukee, and this one is even suspicious too, because especially people who get into conspiracy theories, they would really catch on to this real quick. Okay, um, they were actually. They actually hit national news after they supposedly were after they tried to or after they did break into like a dozen of high profile systems, and one of these systems actually was Los Alamos National Labs here in the United States. Freaking Los Alamos is pretty freaking controversial, especially when it comes to the conspiracy theorist community. They talk about Los Alamos quite a bit. And I find it odd that freaking these kids were supposed to have supposedly done this, and a couple of them were arrested, but most of them only got probation from it. Okay.
Okay.
So they broke into freaking the Los Alamos National Lab Systems and ended up getting away with it with only probation.
Yeah.
I don't see that as happening. Now maybe they might have gotten like restrictions away from the computer for the rest of their lives or some shit, or 20 years or whatever.
But I would need to know each individual case.
Right. I wouldn't take it off of a blanket statement because I really, I mean, because even when you look at it like that, did they really get banned from the computer until they were like 35? I mean, that's shit that you see in Hollywood on television.
But at the time, there was no law stating that as a punishment, you were getting banned from a computer.
Right. Because
That's a recent phenomenon.
and that, yes, exactly. Now, between 1984 and 86, sporadic arrests of individuals and hacking collectives like Legion of Doom and Master of Deception. They were 2 of them that were big. Now, I've mentioned this before. I'm going to mention again. I actually freaking really love these 2 because freaking they actually were named 2 heavy metal bands that I really liked when I was growing up was named after them, so I did know about them. If you're a heavy metal, hardcore heavy metal fan like I am, yeah, I am into punk rock too, but I love heavy metal too, like real heavy metal, and these were the two bands that you knew about. You didn't just know about it, you knew about the history of the name, everything. So I was aware of them. Now with them though, it was just like sporadic arrests and stuff like that. Uh, it was just a group, you know what I mean, that did these things. There was nothing big about them. At the time, I was probably naive. Now I look back at it and I'm like, man, this stuff is probably just stuff that was being used as propaganda so they could bring out the frickin' CFAA, which is the computer.
CFO.
Yeah, that in 1986 they came out with the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act,
Okay.
and that's where I'm getting at it with is they wanted to come out with frickin' a law that comes down on people for frickin' not following certain rules, breaking the law, and being hoodlums.
Well, you got to protect society at large.
Well, I mean, the whole history behind it is really a lot more suspicious than what I thought it was. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I mean, it really is. It just like the whole thing about hacking is just really, really suspicious. So I always did find that odd. Now we're at like an hour and 46 minutes. I'm gonna put some music on and take a break so we can get some coffee.
Good idea. Yeah.
And I'll be back, and we will continue this here in a second, guys. Okay, I am back. Let me drop this background. Before I do, I should mention that this was done with the help of Satori D from Minds.com. He did uh, the artificial AI for the stuff right there. I did Mark Edworthy's picture and my picture in the room on A frame, and did I took out the background for Mark Edworthy and me and put them on there myself. So here's the real deal right there. Old Mark smoking a cigarette. He's rolling.
Yeah.
He's rolling that doobie. So let me just do a little run through on the channels and see if we got any kind of comments.
Okay.
We usually don't get any comments because we aren't popular like all those cool kids. You know, it's always worth mentioning. Okay, so Pratt asks if I know Aaron Hansen. No, I don't. My name's spelled with not an E. E means Sweden. O means Norway. So just for future references. And Sniffhard, no, we are not on drugs.
Okay.
And freaking, he says that you look like an ugly Jew.
Okay.
And it says, is that my picture in description? That Ancient Kick says, hello, is that your picture in description? I didn't know there was a picture in description. Thanks for letting me. Oh, are you talking about my profile? Yeah, that's my profile picture. Yeah, that's me. That's not Mark Edworthy. Now, Sniff Hard, the thing about the ugly Jew thing, at least I don't sniff hard, you know what I'm saying? Or at least we don't sniff hard, you know? And what are you sniffing, really? I mean, are you sniffing your balls? I mean, so it's kind of a dumb thing to be saying, I think. Don't you?
Yeah.
Actually, it's actually kind of queerish, something that a homosexual. He's probably like one of those homosexual gamers, you know.
Okay.
You know how those gamers are. It's got to be woke.
Okay. Not all gamers though.
Well, not all gamers, just most of them. And you know, if you're popular on Kick, you're either like a chick who's bouncing her boobs or a fucking gamer. You ain't got much of a life. You're just kind of like on there talking, yeah, whatever, dude, move left, move left. You know, so there ain't really much on Kick that I've noticed when it comes to things. There's just like
I've not really explored Kick. Yeah, I've only spent less than 5 minutes using Kick.
it's really interesting how versatile the followers are. Like one moment you could have 49 followers and it could drop down to like 46 and go back up to like 48 and then down to 35 and then up to 49 again. I don't like platforms like that where it's more of a trendy thing.
That's nice. All I need is one more subscriber on my Minds account, and then I get 1,500 subscribers. Just need one more person to subscribe to minds.com/Medworthy.
Well, let me go ahead and find out if I've subscribed to you, and maybe I can get that.
Probably.
I can get that going on, and I am going to check on the YouTube thing too, and see if it's working properly. That's one thing I did. Yeah, there we go. We got it. So I had it on, but I didn't check the audio on it. But okay, so we got through we made it to the Computer Fraud Act of
Hmm.
1986 here in the United States.
87.
Was it 87?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, with all the stuff that I mentioned about these early hackers, what do you think about that? I mean, what's your take on all of that? And also,
What's my
so,
take on all
and
that?
like, if you want to like mention like stuff, your thoughts about ARPA and DARPA.
I think I've already told you my thoughts about Arbor and Dava, what stupid names they are. Um,
Hold up, so still.
what's my thoughts about white collar crime? People go to prison.
Yeah, but I mean, I personally don't
Uh,
believe a lot of that happened. To be honest, though, like
there
I
will be incidences of again, without looking at any single court document. I yeah, yeah. You're asking me such a broad question again.
because I mean I know you were like maybe about 4 years younger than I am, but at the
Hmm.
same time you were still around. I mean, and I don't know if you remember it as well as I do, but it was really, really. I mean, this whole hacking thing was really publicized. That there,
Remember maybe in the US, but I'm in the UK.
well, you guys are even worse than we are. I'm pretty sure if you looked hard enough, you'll find a lot of.
Like I probably would find something might jog my memory, but yeah, it was in I don't know 86, 87. 86 I would be 10 years old. 87 I'd be 11. Yeah, so yeah,
You'd
uh,
been watching the cool stuff too. That would have been
yeah,
highlighting the whole kids freaking hacking the system kind of
uh,
shit. You know what I mean? That would have been it would have been aimed at your generation specifically because I remember it was all aimed towards my generation. You know what I mean? It was, oh, look at these kids out there stealing money from ATMs and stuff, and
I
it
don't
was.
think I've ever. No, I've never stolen money from an ATM.
I've never met a person who's done it ever.
Okay.
See it on TV plenty of times growing up.
Uh, Probably more extremely a lot more common, especially in the UK at the moment. I do come across reports every couple of months.
Yeah, but are they true? That's the big question. You know what I mean? Or is it
Newspaper, mainstream media,
or is it just like spin? And
maybe.
well, I mean, it's like freaking. You'll hear a lot of people who believe in UFOs talking about freaking disclosure. Okay, they want to know about freaking aliens. We need to know about aliens. Are they real? Are
Mm.
they real? But this is the kind of stuff that needs to be added into it too. You know what I mean? Was any of this real, or was it just freaking a spin, a form of propaganda, so that they could get regulations put into place? You know,
I believe there has been some good cases that caused regulations to come in.
I've found absolutely nothing to back that up.
Again, I would have to look at every single case to make a conclusion.
As a matter
Of
of fact,
everything.
they said that there was a handful of arrests, um, and there's no official or reliable statistics from law
Yeah,
enforcement.
yeah, because the data wasn't being collected at the time.
You know, now it's safe to estimate though that only a handful of people were arrested for
Okay.
anything that resembled hacking. Okay.
And
Now,
then remember, a lot of it will be under sort of
under what?
white collar fraud.
Well, I mean, it
You know, change. It
they would.
wouldn't be there again. You said the US was 87.
No, this is in the
You said,
early. No, now in 1887, yeah, was when the Computer Fraud Act, the
yeah.
Computer Fraud and Abuse Act.
So yeah, before then it was just a lot of it was conflicted under just standard fraud.
Well, I mean,
Um,
there's no reliable statistics of it though. There's no from the law enforcement themselves.
well, yeah, because there's no measurement. Yeah, mm,
You know what I mean? Like they
mm,
have actually no information that they could pull statistics up saying this was a hacker. You know what I mean? They could easily do that. I mean, there's people that go through and freaking do filing the old way through filing cabinets.
yeah, but in US legalese, has there been a definition of the word hacker, term hacker? Has the term hacker ever existed in a actual piece of legislation?
Yeah, we actually went over this last time. It was computer fraud because
Yeah,
that would
yeah,
actually be the term because the actual Abuse Act was named Computer Fraud and Abuse.
yeah.
You know, so it would
So
be
beforehand there would just been conventional financial fraud on
mm.
cases.
Now in the entire 1970s. It was safe to estimate only a handful of people were arrested for anything resembling hacking, but by the late 1980s, arrests were increasing, but still relatively rare.
Yeah,
Like now, likely dozens to low hundreds globally, often depending on how broadly you define the word hacking. That's what you're getting
yeah,
into.
yeah.
Now, even there, they're talking globally. That's in the low 100s or in the low hundreds. Okay, likely
Mm,
dozens to low hundreds in the
yeah,
19.
you say convicted. Convicted. How many cases wasn't did go through the systems?
Not convicted. They were arrested.
Arrested. Okay.
Okay, so convictions we don't know. I can find that out later. Um, now with that brings me to the topic of technology and tech platforms. Okay. Um, when it comes to freaking all of these alt techs that's coming out, you know what I mean?
Mm,
When it comes to them, and then freaking you look at freaking companies like what we mentioned before with CDK, okay,
yeah.
and what they were
They,
supposed
they're not. They're not alternative tech. They're mainstream technology.
well, alternative tech and technology is what I
Uh,
wanted to bring it out, but and like tech platforms, alternative tech platforms too. When you take a look at um, like what we were talking about with CDK Global and the technology that I think that they could have used, which was DMS, to use for their security. Uh, uh,
that's again. That's only a part.
Hold up, go
So
ahead.
for a lot last time, that's only security should never be treated as a one all solution.
Mhm. Well,
Uh,
the thing that I forgot to bring up in the last time we tried to do this was the alt platforms things too. Like I was telling you about freaking trying to get onto what was it? I keep forgetting the damn. It's not Odyssey. It's a. Uh, um, oh my goodness, BitChute.
Okay.
Okay, now BitChute. When I was okay with them for the longest time, but I turned around and I tried to get into that monetized system they've got there that's supposed to be cryptocurrency.
Okay.
And when I went in there and I tried to enroll in it, it literally denied me, saying the reason for it was because I was in the United States.
Okay.
Now, that right there to me is suspicious. So why would a
The US have got regulations that is not compatible with European regulations.
that would mean that you guys are doing something underhanded?
No, it means that we approach regulations differently than you do in the US. That's proven many times.
I mean, we're not allowed to even be on the platform because we're not.
Okay, I would have to have a look at the
You see,
actual.
we're not even allowed to be a part of it, sign in and have an account. You know what I mean? Because we are here in the United States. We don't. The United States has been.
Yeah, it's because you've got different regulations then. It's, well, mainly in the EU, but other EEA countries as well.
And then I also, well, see, the thing of it is, I could pretty much get away with it if I got on a VPN and
Yeah.
did it from where it appeared I was at a different location other than the United States. But for me, that would be a security risk. You know what I mean? Why would I want to have any
Yeah,
kind of
that's an idea.
why would I want to have any kind of program or any kind of platform have any connection with that if freaking um, I have to do it in a freaking pretty shady way of doing things. You know what I'm saying? And I
Okay.
found,
CBS, shady.
yeah, I mean, I would have to literally say that I'm actually in Canada on the VPN, which I can change
Yeah,
my locations on the VPN and
yeah,
be able to get away with it. It's like if I wanted to watch the BBC, like me and you talked
yeah.
about before, all I'd have to do is say that I'd have to set my freaking VPN to where I was a resident of Britain and I could watch it.
London, yeah, or someone,
You know,
yeah.
but for me, that's a shady way of doing something in order to get what I want. You know what I mean? And plus, you set yourself up to a lot of illegal shit happening to you because you're doing something wrong, and you're doing something wrong.
VPNs are. I can think of a lot of legitimate uses for VPN for private networks.
Well, if I turn around and change my location, though, I'm not using it properly, am I? I'm actually freaking doing something that's underhanded, and if I get in trouble, they're going to find out. Look, I'm freaking broadcasting.
It's not. It wasn't it Brazil just last year that made VPNs or tried to make VPNs illegal? No, it was earlier this year, January's time. Um, but yeah, no. In westernized countries, VPNs aren't illegal. At least not yet.
Not yet. No,
US, no.
no, that's not my whole point. It's how I use a VPN.
If you are using a VPN to aid you in breaking the law anyway, yeah,
You know,
but
if it,
that's no more different than if you're using, I don't know, a lockpick to illegally enter into somebody's house. VPN's just a tool in
so,
that
so
respect.
so you're saying it's okay to use a lockpick to get into other people's houses?
No, I wouldn't recommend that.
Okay, I just wanted to set that clear so we
Okay.
know. Okay, now now that goes into like what we were talking about the other day about Binance. Binance is what really freaking set up the red flags for me, because I ended up doing projects with Bob Dub and Minds Gaming and Within the
Yeah.
Vacuum on MetMe.
Yeah.
And everybody on MetMe is all pushing Binance like it's this really, really great freaking coin. You know what I mean? So I figured I'd check it out. Well, come to find out that freaking it's illegal to trade Binance here in the United States.
It's not compatible with FCC rule or FSA rules.
You know, now it's okay to use Binance USD because apparently they did something to comply with freaking FCC rules, or the no, Federal Communications is FCC is the other one. The one, what was it you just said?
Say it's with the SEC, sorry, Security and Exchange Commission.
Yeah.
In this relation.
But that's what I found out. And then when I started getting emails from them, I mean, I would literally get warnings saying these people are going to steal your identity. You know what I'm saying? It's like these people are known to steal your identity. And that right there is disturbing enough, because I know how
companies identity.
Huh?
It's not like you got unless you're in California. It's not like you got protections like the GDPR rules. American U.S. citizens concerned about people stealing their identity. That's very ironic.
Well, you need us to take a look at it. I had protections there. I mean, my email was straight up telling me, "Do not open this."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a protection, dude. You know what I mean? If you're dumb enough to freaking not pay attention to your freaking email when it tells you to not do something, then it's on.
But remember, these days people sign up to Google, Microsoft, Facebook, wherever, and they sell their identity away anyway. So people don't care these days.
Well, dude, this is called Untethered, and I'm just going to say it like it is. They're stupid. You know? I mean, people also get freaking, spam in their emails, and you know what they do? They just let it keep on coming. They don't care. They get all that, let's get all those porn freaking spammers sending you porn left and right, and just let that stuff go. You know what I mean? Don't worry about it. Got freaking 5,000 emails in their freaking email, and they don't even delete it. You know what I mean? It just sits there. And they think that that's okay. It's sitting in you know now, if you freaking even open a freaking email, they can freaking track it.
Depends on how you're viewing the email. If you're using native desktop or phone clients, and not as much. But if you're using example, more than possible. Outlook, actually, it's also about Microsoft Outlook as.
You're kind of fading in and out on me. I'm actually wondering if you keep going in and out. I don't know what the deal is with it. It just kind of stops and everything. So, but yeah, I know what you're saying there, but like this goes back to what I was saying too. Like a lot of people's problems is themselves. You know what I mean? Like common sense shit. Like when you decide you want to download something, you should really check the check marks. You know what I mean? At the bottom of the freaking download to make sure they're not going to download extra shit onto your computer. That's a really good security measure. It starts right there with you.
Yeah. Security should be the users. We saw the administrator's responsibility. User administrator, whatever.
But what do? They just go on and they just click that thing and they never forget. And then there's an option too to where you can see the hidden information, because they always like to hide it. When you click on it,
Okay.
it shows you the advanced freaking information. They don't want to do that because that takes too much time. You know what I mean? When all you got to
Okay.
do is click on it and read and uncheck the marks or undo the check marks to say freaking add the extra stuff, and it won't come on there. But most people don't do that, and then they wonder later on why their computer has spam and it's been hacked. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that to me is really the weird the bad part of it, and that was one of the things that really gets to me when it comes to that, um, and that was one thing that I wanted to bring up when it came to that with the alternate, I know the alt tech platforms and the freaking the Mint Me because like
Okay.
Mint to this day, man, just because I put Mint Me in the description and shared it on X and Facebook, to this day, I still
Mm.
get freaking spammers coming onto my comment sections saying, "I," you know what I mean, in my videos, dude, saying, "I have an issue with freaking so and so coin. What's your thoughts on it?" And the video is not even about cryptocurrency, and
Mm.
you know what I mean, and just because I put their freaking link in my freaking description, now I keep getting those, and I have to freaking go in there and take them out of my comment section.
Okay.
So that's another aspect of the scam. You know what I mean? The internet is a big freaking scam, dude.
The
It's
internet itself isn't a scam.
you know what's next, right? Next, we get into the big dog. We get into CDK Global. You
Again?
Yeah, that's the reason why we were doing it again
Do
instead
we have to?
of he ran away. Well, I knew something was happening to his network, so um, uh, he started fading in and out of there. I know he has to freaking go out and come back in, but yeah. Now that I've started up that sends us down the path of a current event that happened concerning CDK Global. Um, now that is something that really stuck out to me. I've been wanting to do something relating to major hacks that took place in in uh, in the world, and this is one of the big ones that took place concerning car dealers here in the United States and in Canada. And I started doing research on it, and I found out that CDK, which is a, a organization that organizes and secures documents uh, for a lot of car companies in the United States, was actually hacked and their data was held hostage. Um, and it caused a significant disruption for car dealers nationwide here in the United States. This actually led to shutdowns of systems and forced many of the dealerships to like go back to their manual processes where they actually had to do the process manually. So um, that's basically the gist of it. Hello, are you back?
Uh, uh,
You,
camera's not working, but none.
I
But
knew
yeah, I mean,
I knew something was happening. I ended up yeah, you're bouncing in and out. There you go. You're back.
yeah, yeah.
You've been you've been kind of
Cool.
getting bouncy back and forth. I went ahead and kind of explained what the whole situation for um, CDK Global
Yeah.
was. Now, before what I was bringing up, and I brought it up on another series that we did with DMS. DMS. Let's get that right this time.
Document management system.
Yeah, okay. Because
Document management system.
me and you like had this huge conversation, and you misunderstood what I said because I forgot what.
Yeah, I thought you meant domain name system.
Yeah.
Domain name system. Yeah, you the DMS without any.
We were by the time it was done, I was like, "Hold on, dude, what the hell are we talking about?" You know what I mean? It was like,
I was thinking.
now, see, with me, my whole theory is a DMS, which isn't new technology. This is stuff that they've been talking about since like the 1970s. Would have been perfect.
Document management
Yeah.
systems have been talked about. Filing cabinets have been talked about for hundreds of years.
Well, I mean, the actual,
Cabinet.
you know,
Yeah, the principle. But yeah, filing cabinet is the principle of business. It's just an electronic filing cabinet.
Right. Now, it organizes and it secures documents, okay? And it makes it easier to find and share information. You know, and they've been talking about this stuff. They've actually had seminars in different states here in the United States where people would get up and talk about this stuff for hours and just literally make you fall asleep and shit. Like, you know what I mean? But it's been around forever. And my whole take on it was, well, the whole thing about CDK. Let me make a point of this. CDK apparently didn't have backups available for these files and everything when it came to freaking making sure that these car dealerships could still function. You know what I mean? And what happened is these hackers, okay, or actually I should be like I was the last time because I know you get upset when I start using the word hacker too much. But what was it? These computer fraud, these people who were committing computer fraud, what they basically did was they turn around and they freaking stole this information and held it by using ransomware. It was a ransomware attack on CDK Global. And they wouldn't give the information back until they paid the ransom. And this has been going on with other corporations too. It goes on all the time. Matter of fact, Mark can tell you all about it. He's a pro when it comes to that stuff. You know,
Actually, I've not read any recent reports in the last couple of months. I've just ignored reports. But yeah, did have a figure on the amount of US ransomware for last year, and I think it was something like about 2,000 convictions.
2,000. So you're telling me that in modern hacking, it's gone from a handful to maybe the low hundreds to 2,000 hacking
in the US convicted
alone. That's not globally.
Yeah.
All right.
No, that's just in the US. I would have to have a look at. Yeah, I would have to search for figures.
Well, it's like I said before, you know, this is a conversation. You don't have to get all technical if you don't want to. We're just having a conversation hanging out. So,
yeah, let's say 2,000 last year in the US.
All right. Now, see, the fact that they didn't have backup, that tells me that they could have at least had a freaking DMS that organizes and secures.
Did they have paper-based? Did they have paper-based documentation?
That's what they ended up having to do it all by. And see,
prior to.
Now with filings, though, okay, they have deadlines for this stuff. You know what I mean? Like whenever they make a sale on a car, they can't just let it sit for freaking the longest time. They have,
months, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
there's a deadline that they have to have this documentation turned into. Um, and that's what the big issue was really when it came to it, because they had to take this freaking information after selling a car. They had to do it manually, and then they had to be able to turn it in according to a time limit so that they could freaking do it legally in the right way. So there was a big rush.
Mhm.
It became more of a problem for the freaking people who were in Billings than what it was for the actual people who were out selling the vehicles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it became a basic nightmare for these people. They probably actually haven't really done real work like that in decades, and then all of a sudden,
Um,
they're having to freaking go back to the old ways. At least that's my interpretation of it.
okay.
You know, you don't have anything to say about that.
Mm,
You
mm,
agree? You agree with it?
yeah, 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 yeah. I agree with they needed to. Did they employ more people for the sort of administration rush?
Well, see, that's the whole thing about CDK, though. They're so shifty. Okay, the story doesn't really match
Right.
up. Like that, I couldn't find anything out like that whatsoever. You know what I mean? And then when I found out about their freaking parent company, that even got even more crazy. It makes me think that this was like maybe a freaking
It was NASA. It was NASA. It was a NASA stripping company anyway.
yeah,
Just not.
yes, it
Yeah.
was.
We had a long discussion about yeah, the reason why CDK is or was in the situation it was, because
Yeah.
it was its owners was a NASA stripping company. So
And see, this still doesn't go against what I was trying to say. I personally think that if they used DMS and they used it with data visualization tools, it would have helped them out with backing up their files, and it would have also helped out at least a little bit when it comes to security. You know what I mean?
well, I don't know about backing up the files. That's just a system administration thing. Um,
Well,
from a sort of end user sort of response of being able to see each individual document. Yeah,
and like
but
collaborating on projects. You know what I'm saying? If you have people collaborating and working on files together, freaking, then each of them would be able to have their own backups for those files because they're actually interacting with one another with those visualization tools. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It would have helped them out with better insights. Um, the whole 9 yards. I mean, it would have been more efficient. Even they would have been able
But
to manage.
but it sounded like it was a lost cause company anyway, because they didn't have many functional, many sort of disaster recovery sort of
And that's where
services.
that's where it gets. Let me make sure that the audio is working because, like, I'm really suspicious. Yeah, there we go. It's good
Okay.
because this is where I
Okay.
started saying some shit. People don't like hearing shit on YouTube, but I think it was an inside job. To be honest with you, I
Uh,
this was freaking a high price freaking theft, if you ask me. Um, like you said, I mean they went in and they gutted the freaking company out. Um, they privatized it, um, and
uh-huh.
and when you privatize it, it takes them off the stock market. You know what I mean? It make them ineligible for the stock market.
Hmm.
So it was basically um, privatized, and this is a global. Uh, CDK isn't just United States based; they're global. You know what I mean? Um,
Okay.
that's why they're called CDK
Yeah.
Global. So and they went private, and what I found out was they went in and they what what did I call it? Um, fuck was it? It. Let me find it real quick. Yeah, because what happened was is they ended up freaking going private, and they became a private equity. That's what it is, and they did that in April of
Okay.
2000. Yeah, they did it in April of 2022, and
Yeah.
this is where shit starts getting suspicious. Brookfield Business Partners, together with institutional partners, entered into an agreement, and they acquired CDK Global for a total enterprise value of $8.3 billion. Now, it was suggested that Brookfield buying CDK Global and making it a private equity. By doing that, they stripped away security protocols that could have prevented the ransomware attacks. Okay, and the they say that that's standard procedure when it comes to turning freaking a corporation like that into a private equity. The first thing they do is they go into the freaking business and they strip it down. You know what I mean? They stripped away the security protocols and everything, and they work from the ground up. You're still there, right? No, he backed out. So, um, and that's what I've ended up finding out about it. You guys have to be patient with us. We are having some issues with the audio or the video mostly, but I'm checking the audio, making sure that everything's okay. Now, that was one of the issues that I had. Now, Brookfield Business Partners, like I said, was the parent company of CDK Global. Now, they experienced a significant ransomware attack too. All right, although CDK's global operations were harmed, Brookfield Business Partners uh, did not as consider it material enough to report uh, what had happened to the Securities and Exchange Commission, which is the SEC, uh, under new rules for reporting breaches, which is something that is required here in the United States. It looks like Mark finally made it back in. And I'm kind of glad that I had to do this because this was something that me and Mark had been talking about, or I brought it up in the last one that we weren't able to record. So um, let's see if he's on it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm back, I think. Yeah.
Okay. So now I mentioned Brookfield Business Partners, okay, and that's the parent partner company. Um, I went
Yeah.
through and I was talking about how what had happened was they became a freaking private equity firm. Okay,
Mm.
and I explained how what I had found out that is these private equity firms, whenever they buy like a huge corporation and then privatize it like that, the first thing they do is they go in and they freaking gut out all the security protocols. And from what I've heard,
Yeah.
that's standard practice for a lot of these corporations whenever they do that. What's your do you know much about that when it comes to how private equity firms deal with?
I looked at the company. A lot of these companies will split the their um, child company up into smaller companies.
Okay.
But yeah,
So so basically, yeah, you're talking about freaking here in the United States we call them freaking um, well, I forgot what the name was, but it's basically a hack and slash job. They
Yeah, yeah.
buy up a big corporation and they just cut it down to pieces.
Mm,
And that's basically what you're talking about right there,
mm.
right? I mean, I could be wrong, but is that what you're basically talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay. Now, what happened was Brookfield Business Partners also, previous to freaking what had happened with CDK, I believe, in 1990 or April of 2022 is when they, together with institutional partners, um, acquired CDK Global, and they did that for $8.3 billion. Now, that is when I found out from another source who did a video on YouTube, and she was a part of she was a part of a accounting group that was involved in the actual car dealerships, and she did I believe it was either a video or a blog, maybe both, but she was talking about what happens when these equity firms take over freaking big corporations like that, because she's had to deal with it, you know. And she says the first
Mm.
thing that happens is they freaking um, well, like they bought CDK Global, okay, and then they made it into a private equity, and then
Yeah.
after that they stripped away every security protocol, and they started
Yeah,
from the ground
yeah.
up with it. And she said that that's protocol for every company they buy. You know, most of these firms do that
Okay.
automatically, and that's what I learned from her. So that was interesting when I heard about that. Um, then after that, this supposed ransomware happened. Okay, and
Mm.
when that happened, I did some more digging and I found out Brookfield Business Partners also had a significant ransomware attack. Okay, but they decided that uh, Brookfield Business Partners didn't consider it material enough to report it to the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Yeah.
And this is where we were talking about. There are new rules for reporting breaches that are in
Mm.
place with the SEC. Okay, that's another suspicious thing that happened there that never got reported. You know, so anybody who's on here listening, you know, this is the first time you're probably going to hear about that, because I don't remember anybody bringing that up when it happened. You know, that's how smart I am.
Actually, no, it was reported at least in UK, in certain circles. I saw quite a few UK tech channels and maybe two US um, YouTube tech channels talking about it at the time.
You talking about Brookfield Business Partners, or are you talking about CDK?
Yeah,
Which one?
the CDK incident. CDK.
Okay, no, I'm talking about Brookfield Business Partners um,
Okay.
when they had their attack. They also had one, but they didn't feel that it was material enough to report it to the Security and Exchange Commission.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah,
was
but it was reported. Both were reported about at at depending on who you watch.
probably after the investigation on CDK Global started.
uh,
That's when they fessed up to it. You know,
okay, maybe.
but they kept it quiet because they ended up, from what it sounds like, they ended up paying this ransomware, and because there's a big thing going out now where these corporations would rather pay the freaking ransom than to actually go after the freaking criminals doing it, because they would lose more money if they did that rather than just give them the money they want and let it go. So for them, it's
But
better.
any company who's got who knows what they're doing will have better policies in place anyway beforehand.
Now, another incident involved Brookfield Residential Properties, a wholly owned division of Brookfield Asset Management, which admitted to being victimized by an unspecified cyber attack. Now, Brookfield Residence Properties, which is a wholly owned division of Brookfield Assets Management, which is BAM, they did acknowledge a cyber attack in 2020. Unauthorized access to a limited subset of files occurred, prompting immediate action to restore affected systems and implement additional security measures. Now, the incident affected internal employees and company and the company and security measures. Well, no, the incident affected internal employees, and the company reached out to those whose information had been assessed. Now, Mr. Robot, the last time we tried this, came in and he said that he had more information on this. So basically, what they did is they paid these employees off with hush money, and then they turn around and they gave them security systems to freaking back up their systems. Like, oh, and we're giving you extra security now because you were hacked. You know what I mean? So it was kind of a bullshit. It was pretty shitty, you know. From what that's why I said I wish that we really didn't freaking lose all that. But that's the basic whole story about what's going on there. And I also found out too that these guys had another incident that a group called Darkside claimed responsibility for a ransomware attack against Brookfield, but they didn't specify which division was targeted. Now, the parent company emphasized that Brookfield Residential operates independently on a separate network from the parent company. Now, CDK Global, an automotive data provider, suffered a cyber attack incident that disrupted operations across the U.S. and Canada. The company, that company right there, was purchased by Brookfield Business Partners in 2022. So you're looking at a 2-year difference right there where this stuff happened. You're looking at like a 2-year time difference where this stuff happened, and it's all the same shit. You know what I mean? It's the same company, and they've been getting hit by ransomware over and over again, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And I think one of them actually involved the Canadian freaking military.
Okay.
This is the one I think we were talking about the last time, where it was.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah.
So I mean, that's what I wanted to get into right there. So let me see here. Now we do have the Chaos crew, but we can come back to them if you want to, and maybe do that at a later time, because it's getting near to 3 hours now.
Well, yeah. Where you really talked about the Chaos crew earlier, anyway.
Oh, well, we haven't done it on this one yet. And later on, I do want to. I do want to get further into it too. You know what I mean? Because um, the thing. Well, from the first time that we tried this and we missed it, we actually had good conversations from this point on when we started talking about the Chaos Crew and their
Okay.
attacks on Sony and stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. 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 I remember. Yeah.
and then we started getting into the difference between the Chaos Computer Club and then the other one. What was it? CCS something. They were the ones that do the malicious shit. Um, you have the CCC, which is the Chaos Computer Club, and then you have the Chaos Crew Club, I believe is what it is.
Okay. Yeah. 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 I remember. Remember.
And a lot of people,
Yeah. Leave that one to the next.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Leave that to the next episode.
yeah. Now, what we're going to do though is we're going to switch off of computer hacking and all the cool stuff with computer hacking and how the internet's just a complete and utter fraud that nobody should believe whatsoever.
Okay.
We're going to switch from that topic, and next week we're going to get into freaking politics. We want to talk about the cool shit.
Politics. Okay. What about politics?
We're going to talk about tariffs and all,
Politics.
yeah, and all the cool stuff that's going down
Okay.
right now with tariffs.
Oh, the US stuff. Yeah.
And we might even
Okay.
we might even talk about those dirty freaking Mexicans that are getting shipped off to freaking Central America. And
Okay.
if things work out, we'll be sending American citizens down there with them. Isn't that cool? Huh?
Maybe. Again, this is a fresh story. Really, it's only been happening. We've only found out in the last week or so. So, yeah, we'd love more information to go on by next week.
Mm-hmm. But that's the one thing that I want to do next week. We'll get into the politics and start talking about stuff. I want to actually dive into some of the Doge too, because I think there's a lot of interesting things that
Okay.
has been coming out of there. And
I
because they're,
haven't taken notice over the last couple of weeks.
dude, the last 2 weeks has just been freaking insane. Okay, if you go on and you watch American news right now, just everybody's going freaking haywire over the shit that's going on with Doge, and they're getting really nervous too because the Social Security office is being
Yeah, I saw a clip on that. I saw a notification for something related to that earlier.
so it's
But yeah, I've been more interested in British politics because British politics has been really interesting in the last couple of weeks.
well, your guys' stuff is
Yeah,
always,
just really ignored US.
you guys have always been on a heightened thing here lately, but like I'm talking about like especially like within the last 2-3 weeks, you should really check out some of the stuff that's been going on over here. And plus, there's a couple of meetings that took place with Trump and I believe there's a woman from England and then another one from the EU. I could
Actually, didn't need to meet. Didn't he have a formal occasion with the king within the last couple of days?
oh then yeah, that's right.
I know he met with it. There was a public meeting with him and Starmer back in last month before.
Mhm. Yep.
Within the last 2 months, I know.
Yep. And next week we'll shift to that one, and we'll start talking about some politics. And it's like I said, I want to do some things about just stuff that can't be freaking talked about in a certain genre. Also, I want to start talking about not only politics but like current events, even get into some entertainment and things too.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
stuff of that nature. Maybe do that and see where it goes because I'm finding this stuff kind of interesting, even though I'm not really into the whole garbage
Cool.
politics thing. You know, I
Like,
try
not
to
too bad. Yeah.
I try my best to stay away from it, but like everybody I'm associating with fucking seems to love this shit. So I was like, okay, I got to do something. So I started checking this stuff out, and like a lot of it's pretty interesting to be honest. Like I'm still wondering how P Diddy freaking uh, got that fucking
Peace.
that baby oil and shit, dude. You
Yeah,
know,
baby oil.
it's like fucking
Yes,
he had the receipt. He
I think you're obsessed with P Diddy and
No, it's a valid question. Okay, if you're into
yeah,
mysteries, okay, he had the receipt that specifically said that baby oil came from freaking Costco. Okay. Now,
okay.
according to Costco, they have never sold baby oil ever. It has never been on their shelves whatsoever. How did he get that freaking receipt? Somebody's lying. It's just plain and simple. You got to
Yeah,
admit, dude, somebody is lying. You know, but that's the reason
yeah.
why. That's the reason why I wanted to name this Untethered is because this is kind of stuff I think is good to talk about on this stream. What do you think?
Hmm. Okay, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so before we go,
Um,
you wanna tell everybody how they
trying to
can
think.
find you, Mister Mark Edworthy?
Okay, okay, yeah, easy to find. I'm on minds.com under Medworthy. So Medworthy, yeah.
Okay, and you can find me on Rumble, X, D Live, Twitch, Kick, YouTube, Minds.com. Uh, until next month, you can find me on Skype, but after that, I will be on Teams as well as Elements. I will not be streaming any kind of video from Teams. It'll just be for chat, but you can find me on there. You can find me also on Discord, and I did say Element, right? So
Yeah.
you can find me on Element too as live it, under live with Roger Hansen. The links for the Element is on X, and I believe I have them on my stream descriptions for the Wonderful World of Weirdness, which is a channel I have on YouTube and Rumble that you guys can find there. Um, and well, I mean, other than that, that's where you can find me. So thank you guys for stopping by and watching. If you liked what you've seen, please like, subscribe, share, make comments, leave comments. We do love comments. Just don't be a dick, you know. If you're trolling, just keep on moving on because we really don't get into all that stuff. You know what I mean? You don't feed the troll. Just if you have serious criticisms, bring them up in the comment section and I'll respond to them. If you just want to be a troll and troll on everybody, then I'm just going to delete your comment and you're probably going to be deleted from the channel too because I don't do that, you know. So just be respectful, treat people the way you want them to be treated, and with that, everybody will get along, you know. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you have a good night or a good morning or wherever you are. You know what time of the day it is. I hope you enjoy that. So, that talk to you later.